What's good, everybody? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again on the YouTube channel. And guys, we have a really special topic today, centered at the African American male business community and brothers out there who watch the channel. I have my brother Black Heights, who's owned by Antoine Wade, a very successful brother from our community. But I want him to explain what his channel is about, and then we'll come back and get into it.
What is up, O'Shea? Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you having me today. But Black Heights, what the channel is about, is really about advancing your career. I've done it through corporate America, but in general, you can advance your career in any aspect of your life. And that's what we talk about on the channel, whether it's related to careers or whether it's related to going to college or whether it's related to IT. That's what we talk about on the channel, O'Shea.
All right, and editors, give him a round of applause for coming on. He's been very influential in the business community here, especially amongst Black men. And I've been knowing him for a long time. But Antoine Wade, we're going to do some bragging real quick on you, because some people might want to know, if you're qualified today to talk about today's topic. Tell people a little bit about your educational background and what you've done, on your resume before we get into the topic.
Yeah, I'll certainly do that, O'Shea. I would say this, man. I'm finding out more and more every single day that I'm pretty unique in the aspect of, being able to have the life experiences that I do have. But in general, my education spans from having a bachelor's of business administration in management information systems from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. I've also have a master's, an MBA from a top 20 institution in the United States, with it being Georgia Tech. And in my career in general, and with my education, I've been able to climb the corporate ladder to make a really decent salary in life, and being able to use this salary to invest in other areas of my life to become an asset millionaire. Okay.
So from the African American community, you grew up in the Midwest South, I know that, and you became a graduate of a really good Georgia Tech MBA program, became an asset millionaire. So this is basically the American dream for not only just a lot of African Americans, but just Americans in general. And we're going to talk about today's topic today, which is how you became a person that worked at minimum wage to a millionaire, right? To where you are now. And that's actually one of the more popular videos on your channel. And I want to talk about that because you helped develop so many people, especially Black Heights in the African American community, developing brothers to come to another level of life. But how did you do it, man? Like, what inspired you to create that particular content piece about, growing from a minimum wage to $300,000 a year?
What inspired me, O'Shea, was this, man, is that is possible. I had no idea that I could do it myself. If I thought about it back when I was growing up, there is no way that I would see myself, this version of myself, if I thought back 20 years ago, right? Starting off my professional career, I would say, or even starting in my work career back when I was about 13 years old, there was no way that I would see myself in a position that I am right now. And the whole purpose of creating that video was to give people some inspiration that, they can do it as well, too, if they follow a path, if they have a roadmap, if they, create a vision for themselves. And if they don't even have the vision, you take the steps to try to be the best that you can be in every single role that you are in, because, that's important. And when you are able to be the best that you can be in the roles that you're in, you're going to be able to develop relationships. And it's going to be those relationships that's going to be responsible for getting you where you want to get to in life. And that's what I've been able to leverage with, with my life, with my education, with the relationships that I've been able to build, and just being an overall good person, I would say, man, and being a positive person as well, too. I've been able to, start at a minimum wage salary, work my way up to, making over $500,000 a year.
Okay. So let's take it, because I know that what you focus on is a lot of jobs in the tech and information sector. You've been doing that a long time. You actually work and live in a city that's really known for that. We won't disclose it right now, but you've been doing an awesome thing with understanding that sector. But kind of because a lot of our brothers are really struggling right now, and a lot of people in the African American community since COVID, right? And COVID, and now we have the new Delta variant and things like that. and let's say if a person is working a low income job, okay, and I know that you deal with this, you consult this level, but if they're a person working a low income job, minimum wage, what are some of the steps, or what are some of the industries with information systems that you deal with, because you're a specialist in that? How do they get involved in information technology if they're already a low earner, and how do they transition into that phase?
Yes, that's a good way, a good question, O'Shea. I would say this, right? I would say one of the paths that's easy to take is to, one, get an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree, right? You're making minimum wage right now. You can go to college, right? Choose to go to college, whether it's an associate's degree or get a bachelor's degree, and try to get it in some form of information technology, some form of information systems, something around that area. And from there, once you have that education, because a lot of companies, especially tech companies, don't get me wrong, they say they're not looking for education. Yeah, but at the end of the day, the majority of people have not gotten there yet. And it's not like you're going to be working for a large company like a Google or Facebook off the top, right? These companies can say that, but a lot of the times their actions does not follow what they're saying. But what I would say is get the education, get a entry-level job. And that's where you're going to be able to start your path, your extension, or your ascend, you being able to ascend up the ladder at that point in time, right? And that's how I did it. I started my career off in a help desk role, right? And I did that when I was a senior in university at that point in time. I had to take this job. And that was really what opened me up to IT. And then from that job, I was able to, move into a software engineering type of a role, but I wouldn't have been able to do any of that if I didn't have the education. Education was the one that really opened the door for me, because the company that I really went to initially, O'Shea, they were asking for somebody who was, one, an intern, two, had a 4-year degree, or 3, was in school at that point in time. Okay,
so let's talk about that, because a lot of guys, even a lot of brothers, man, they I love them, and I know you do too. But some of these brothers, man, they kind of hard to deal with. And you, who went to a professional program, I'm finishing up mine in next week, right? So finally, we understand the value that education has brought us. It's taken me out of poverty, situation that I would have never been able to get out of, as talented as I may feel that I am, to where I am now. And when you have that last semester and you need to be there at 6 o'clock in the morning and you have to be there, it just teaches you so much discipline that you have to do this to finish. And if you don't, you're going to fail, right? That's right. But a lot of guys say, well, you know what? Going to school is not worth it, because look at what's happening with the debt crisis and things like that. And I know you may hear people with that, that verbiage or those talking points. What do you say about people who are a little bit worried about, certain jobs and things like that right now, are going to school for something and taking loans to do it? What's your perception that when you hear that versus the trades like trucking and things like that? What's your position on that?
Well, I think the first thing I would say this, right? They have a valid point, because there are people that go to school and they get useless degrees. Let's just face it, O'Shea. If you're going to school to major in something like, I would say it's some sort of Asian history, African-American history, if you're not looking to become a professor in that area, a professor in that area, these degrees typically are worthless, because they're not worth anything when it comes to the market. So what I would say to people who question going to school, they have a valid point. But if you really look at the details behind people who really major in things like business, major in things like mathematics, major in things like science and technology and engineering, these people actually are the ones who become millionaires later in life, right? The STEM degrees, and that's why people always talk about STEM all the time, they make the most millionaires in the United States. And I'm a proven example of that myself. I have a technology degree, with it being management information systems. So there is a good argument for people to say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to go to school, and I'm not going to go that route. Yes, you go to school for something like anthropology. If you go to school for something like archaeology, yeah, you're probably going to be sitting back home being broke because you're not going to have a job. But if you go to school for one of the STEMs or in business or something like that, you're going to do well for yourself. Now, here's the alternative. The alternative is you don't go to school at all and you become a tradesman. Yes, you can go that route too, but becoming a tradesman, you're not going to make the money that you really want to make unless you become a business owner. And everybody isn't cut out to be a business owner. And let's just face it, if you don't have the mindset to be a business owner, then you're going to be working for somebody anyway. So why not be able to get the education as well as having an opportunity to run a business and become a tradesman, right? I think the education is also a backup plan as well too, for you to use that lever, for you to use that later on in life.
Okay, let's kind of get back to that, because one of the things you said is interns, right?
Yeah.
When you had the ability to, and we're talking about, getting to that level of the $300,000 or to the asset millionaire.
Yeah.
You were in school, you graduated, you took the job at the help desk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now let's talk about, did you ever do any internships or things like that or along the way, or things that got you into the position of the help desk? Was those things available to you at that time, and what do you feel about internships?
Well, so it's important, O'Shea, and you have the sequence pretty right. But I'll make some clarification to that. Is I had to do an internship in order for me to get the help desk job, right? So let me explain it. Going into my senior year of college, I didn't have any IT experience at all. So I was at the point, I was working at a hardware store called Menards here in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I knew that I needed some IT experience. So what I did, that going into my senior year, I quit my job at Menards. I decided to then do an unpaid internship because all the applications that I was filling out, nobody wanted me because I didn't have the experience. They were like, nope, get some experience. We'll deal with you once you have the experience. And it's a catch-22, right? A lot of companies say, hey, they want the experience, and you need the experience, and you get on and you still don't have the experience. They're not getting it anyway. It's like it's a way for them to filter. So long story short, I did an unpaid internship that entire summer, O'Shea, and it was by a technology company called Think Global Media, which was responsible for designing websites. And the owner was an African-American man. His name is Christopher Crawley, a good man, one of those gentlemen who I have a lot of respect for. He has a PhD. But he took me on after I just sent him an email late one night saying, hey, I see your company in the Wisconsin State Journal. Seems like you're doing some wonderful things. Can I come work for you guys and shadow some of your people for the summer? He's like, I can't pay you. I'm like, all right, I'll be there the next day. Quit my job, started working for them over the summer. Did about a month and a half to 2 months with them, O'Shea. And that was the experience that I needed in order for me to get the job at the help desk for Kohl's. Because when I was working at the help desk, I was actually a senior in school. And I was doing, part-time work, working about, 34 hours to support myself during that time. But just that experience itself was enough to, the unpaid internship was the experience that I needed to get the job at the help desk. The help desk was the experience in the experience that I needed in order for me to get the role as a software engineer. Okay,
so let's kind of go back with that, because, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Brother Gabe A from the Hall of Game, he always talks about internships. And even with me on YouTube, and even though you can't really do an internship with YouTube, and I want to just tie myself to what you're talking about for guys to understand, the reason why I'm successful as I am now is because I work with African diaspora, Mr. Phil Scott, but I don't do any work for him anymore. But I learned extensively a lot about the business that I didn't know for 18 months. I worked with him, and I always thank him for that experience, because there were a lot of things about the business that I didn't know. I was still making over $130,000 at that time before I started to work with him, right? Yeah. But I was doing a lot of stuff for his channel, and I was learning a lot about the business. He learned some things from me. And I know that internships work, right? Even if they're unpaid, because you're learning things about stuff that you can't, that you learn in real practice.
That's right.
In the African-American community, largely, why don't you think that we look for the positions of like internships or looking for knowledge that compounds that we can't get this paid? Why do we have such a problem with that? Do you think that we have a problem that as men that we have, we don't use that and leverage that as often as we should?
Well, I think it's a couple of things. I think it's a ego thing at one point, in some aspects of it, right? Is we feel like we're more valuable than what we really are, and a lot of people that's what it is.
Say it again, brother. They didn't hear that. Say it again.
A lot of times, it's we really feel like we're more valuable than we really are. At the end of the day, the market really determines how valuable you are, right? And we have a mindset a lot of the times that, I don't need to put myself in a position like this where I need to be sacrificing on my side. You would think people need to sacrifice for you, but that's not how the world really works, right? I was looking at a LinkedIn video the other day, and this gentleman who started coaching for Coach Herm Edwards. He said, in order for him to get that job, Coach Herm Edwards said, I wasn't going to pay you a salary. I wasn't going to give you any health insurance. But if you can be here every single day at 4:00 in the morning, and you can show me that you can do this for a total of 18 months, you will have a head coaching job. The dude did it for 18 months, O'Shea, sacrificing, but getting the ability to learn under one of the greats. And a lot of the times, our ego doesn't allow for us to do that a lot of the times. And a lot of it comes from, how we were brought up. If we never saw a male in the household with that tenacity to want to work under somebody or want to work on another male, or the ability to work with other males in general, if we haven't experienced that, then it's really difficult for us to see that. And fortunately for me, I grew up in a household that is divorced, but also at the same time I have an uncle who I live with, who woke up every single morning. I was under his leadership, and I knew that how to work with other males. And that's what I did with this unpaid internship. I asked for it, I received it, and I was able to learn a lot just from, asking for it and working under Mr. Crawley. I mean, he's a fantastic man. He's still alive today, doing some other things, real estate, but a fantastic male, man.
And he gave you your start because you're willing to.
Exactly. I came in one of the things I had to do, O'Shea, which, clean the toilets, coffee runs. I didn't have any money, to be honest with you. I mean, I didn't have any money, but the expectation was for me to do the job like I did, right? And the expectation was for me to learn as much as possible because he was giving me the opportunity. So, he can take everything from me, be honest with you, but I had to try to take something from him in the form of knowledge that I'll be able to use, towards my future. And that's what I was able to do as well, too, and leverage him as a person who's going to vouch for me whenever I needed it. Somebody to be a reference for me and stuff like that.
Right. So let me kind of go back in our timeline here. So minimum wage, but you went to school, right? You knew what you were trying to do. You had that plan. And then as you were progressing academically, there was more that you needed. You needed the knowledge of the industry and how the industry worked. So you went out and then you got the internship. So then you sacrificed, right? So I'm hearing that. So you were going to school, you know that you needed more understanding of the industry you wanted to go to, so you sacrificed to gain it. Then you went to the help desk job, and then you're working part-time for the help desk. And then what was the knowledge that you needed to go from the help desk to the software engineer job? What was that transition?
The transition was relatively easy, O'Shea. Once I was able to really get a job in IT, and that's the thing, these companies are just looking for you to show that you have an ability to do work. And when you are doing work, are you the best at it? Do you have good results? Are people vouching for you and things like that? So I had a full-time job after graduation. The help desk, they wanted me to stay on. They said, Antoine, you know what? You're making about $34,000 a year with the salary that we're paying you for, part-time. By the time that you graduate, here's an offer that I'm expecting you to have. It was going to be around $40,000 a year, right? Well, during that time, I'm still applying for other roles because I wanted to be a developer, and Coles was not going to give me the role of a developer. So, I was applying for jobs like I'm supposed to, and I found two jobs. One working for Coles corporate, where I was at the help desk, but I also got an offer from the company where I started my career, a company called Red Prairie, who was a supply chain software solution provider. And that's who I ended up going with, O'Shea, because the money was more and it was a title of a software engineer. So I went with them. So I quit Coles. And by the time I graduate, I was working full time for as a software engineer for this company, Red Prairie, man. And it was fantastic. I was making a lot more money. I felt good, and that was another opportunity for me to get into a company, do really, really well. And I used that opportunity to climb the ladder in that company as well, too.
Okay. So what were the skills that because now your academics got you into a position, but now your performance is going to have to take you to the next level Now it's not about as much as grades anymore. You've already passed that level. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things every day when you're working at the job, or even let's say, I know you're also you do some forms of entrepreneurship, but in both aspects. We have guys who are interested in both climbing the corporate ladder, or guys entrepreneurship. But then there are these other skills that you need that people have to like you to promote you, right? What are those things that help you get from the software engineer to the next position? What do you have to do, and what kind of relationships you need to make to be able to get that promotion?
Yeah, I say this all the time, man, and this is something that you talk about quite a bit, O'Shea. But this is something that I've noticed Kevin Samuels talk about it as well. These are the soft skills, right? They are the interpersonal skills, and their behavior skills. There's anything along those lines. I think the soft skills is the most important part of it. You're going to know how to code. You're going to know how to restore a database. You're going to know how to reset a job on a computer. These are things that just about anybody can do, and eventually over time they're going to be automated. But what you don't know how to do a lot of the times is how to work with other people. What you don't know how to do a lot of the times is to really drive the perception of other people. And this comes in the form of soft skills. And a lot of times what I end up seeing and what I do a lot of is coaching people that, hey, little behaviors that you may have is what's stopping you from getting promoted. And what I recognized, and I was taught early, was that these behavior skills are very important. One, you want to control the perception. You can control your perception by making people feel very comfortable. And a lot of times it's your own behavior, how you dress, how you smile, how you communicate, little things like that, right? You and I are topping it up right now, but obviously I'm making you feel a certain way in the conversation. How do you talk to people? How do you relate to people? How do you build relationships with people? What is your energy like? These are the soft skills that you need to master in order for you to be able to climb the ladder in any job. I mean, and not even just job, O'Shea. That's in life in general. You have to have good character. You have to have a good perception that you can control. You have to be able to communicate. You have to be able to work with others. All of these soft skills are the most important in order for you to get anywhere and become a success in life.
So you guys hear that? Soft skills, right? So I want to kind of go back the timeline, because today we're teaching class, okay? Antoine is much more successful than me, but all of us as successful African-American men, we're all using the same paradigm. This is not, we all have to do it. There's nobody that doesn't do this, and have longevity. All right. So again, you have to, number one, what's the industry that I want to be in? What qualifications do I need? Okay, so I need to go to the school. I need to go to academic profession like information systems, which is what he's done. Okay. If I need experience in internships, whatever I need to do to get it, I'll do it. If I have to quit my current job, if I have to move to another city, I'll do that. Right. And this is what you need. I have some tenacity toward it. Then once I get there to the job and perform, I'm looking to move upwardly. And if I'm looking to move upwardly, I'm then trying to have good skill sets with people who are above me, trying to make relationships be likable, understanding my interpersonal skills and things like that. Now, tell me, once you got that promotion, the next promotion, what were the skills that you needed to do to get to the next level?
They're the same exact ones, O'Shea. I mean, to be honest with you, they're repeatable skills, right? You have to be likable. You have to be able to communicate. You have to be able to ask for what you want. And that's a huge piece of it, O'Shea, that a lot of us don't ask for what we want because we don't know our value. And here's one of the things that I use all the time. And this is something that you can use on tomorrow if you are a person that is just starting a job tomorrow, or if you've already been in a role and you're like, okay, well, you know what? It's time for me to make a move. Go to your leader, whoever that person is. Let's just say I work for O'Shea. O'Shea, he sees that I come in every single day and do a good job, right? But I have to understand what O'Shea thinks about what a person needs in order for them to get to the next level. So if I work for O'Shea, O'Shea is my manager, let's just say I'm a software engineer. Well, O'Shea manages senior software engineers, and he's responsible for my promotion, my ability to be promoted. Sit down, I'll have a conversation with O'Shea and say, you know what, O'Shea, this is what I was able to accomplish today. This is what I'm going to accomplish this week. This is what I'm going to accomplish for the rest of the month, and so forth. But I would also ask O'Shea this simple question of, I want to get promoted one day. I want to get promoted relatively fast. Let's just say I want to do it in 8 months. What is it that I need to do in order for me to become a senior software engineer? And I need O'Shea, and this is a question that I'll ask O'Shea. What is it that you see that a senior software engineer needs in order for them to get to a senior software engineer, or a software engineer needs in order for them to get to a senior software engineer? And I'll work with O'Shea to define what that is and objectively be able to assess whatever that is. He may say, hey, you know what, Antoine, you need to deliver code that's accurate 95% of the time. You need to be able to go on site and not be late for 100 days straight. Whatever that is, I'll write that down and I'll accomplish that. And I come back to O'Shea on a monthly basis or a weekly basis and say, how am I measuring up to those objectives? Right. By the end of a month or so, if you're meeting those objectives, O'Shea is going to promote me, right? And that's exactly what you can do if you want to get promoted in your career right now.
So this is a great advice. So you're going to your superiors and you're asking your superiors, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. Am I doing this? And what goals do I need to set? If you ask me to do something, I need to follow up and let you know my progress. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. And that's what's helping you elevate, right? Exactly. And I want to talk about this because I know you specialize in information systems. So we see that the paradigm shift is there. What about for people? Because a lot of brothers, and I did a show with Erica Williams, he mentioned your industry as one that people are flocking to. And we know that with some of the brothers out there that, were in the industry and then coronavirus kind of dried it up. Some people are still doing good. You're still doing good. Some of the guys in manufacturing are still doing good. I mean, content creators, if you're in the business, you're doing pretty good. What can people do to transition? Let's say if they're in one industry and they were somebody in the industry, right? And that industry just not there anymore. And they want to get into, information technology. What are the opportunities for the next 10 to 20 years? Because, automation is a big threat to everybody, right? So what opportunities are evolving in the information technology world that you see that makes it stable for those people who want to get into it or thinking about a new industry to go into? What are some of the key things that make it such a dependable industry right now over the next 10 to 20 years?
Well, I would say you want to be able to look at the actual industry. You mentioned this, O'Shea, right? So for me, for instance, I work in the supply chain area, and it's a tech. We provide software to tech companies around the world, right? And if you think about it, supply chain is large, and that's what's been in the news most recently. But you want to go in an industry there's always going to be a need, right? It could be in computers, it could be in networking and things like that. But here's the thing, right? If you are not in the tech space and you want to prepare yourself to have a long-lasting career, start to trend towards the areas that are becoming more and more needed. So one of the biggest industries in the tech field that's growing, and it's growing at a pace of 32%, right, is the cybersecurity space. That is a space where the average growth rate is 32%. These jobs are opening up because you got to think about it, right? Companies right now are under the gun to protect their data, to protect their people, because data is the most valuable asset that these companies have at this point in time. So start to transition into areas where they're going to be needed. Now, here's the thing. The thing is this, O'Shea. I can tell you this, but you have to begin to do it. You have to begin to do it. Cybersecurity is huge. Data in general is huge. Becoming a data analyst, if you don't even like data, but you want to be able to work in IT on the business side, you can do something like information systems. You can go into healthcare, right? Healthcare is always going to be needed. IT is always going to be needed. Yes, some of this stuff is going to be automated, but stay on the cutting edge of it where there's going to be consistent growth. And cybersecurity is one of them. Health informatics is one of them. Data is one of them. All of that is going to be the areas that are continuing to grow over time.
Okay, and so basically information technology is something that's inside of other industries. I'm pretty
Absolutely.
sure that
Absolutely. Every
agriculture,
industry. Absolutely.
yeah,
Yes.
health, right? Because they need this software, biosecurity, finance, which is huge, right? I mean,
Right.
those things are always so. Your industry is embedded in every major industry.
Absolutely.
That's in the
Absolutely.
world. Okay.
It's a heartbeat. It's a heartbeat for almost every single industry at this point in time, right? You think about it, at one point in time, you would say it's sales, right? Sales is what makes companies grow. Yes, that's absolutely true. But in order for you to really have good sales, you got to have good data, right? You have to have, good people. And in order for you to have that data, you have to have some sort of IT infrastructure. And the IT infrastructure is like the veins inside of a body, right? You need it. They're everywhere. Things have to be aligned and things like that. And that's where, people can really start to look at it and say, all right, well, if every industry needs this stuff, then I need to go where every industry needs. And then you can then focus on which vertical you want to be in. You want to be in the supply chain side. You want to be in the finance side. You want to be in the operations side. Wherever you want to go, you can do that as well.
And then it's like, one of the stocks that went up like last year was Salesforce.
Right.
I mean, Salesforce is doing. I used to use it. It's really good. It's doing really good all the time.
Yes. Yes.
Which is a part of IT, right? Yeah.
All of the tech, you think about it, all of the tech companies, when after we had that huge crash in March of 2020, all the tech stocks just about doubled. Google, Amazon,
Microsoft,
HP, Microsoft,
Adobe,
Zoom went wild,
Zoom,
right?
Nvidia,
Adobe, Nvidia, all these companies where tech is really needed. You think about it, right? Nvidia went crazy because of blockchain, right? And graphics card and people doing all the mining and stuff like that. They had no idea that was a market for their hardware solutions that they needed, but people started to buy them, right? So if you go in tech in general, you're going to consistently grow. It's always going to be a challenge that you're going to be faced with and companies are faced with. And it's going to be a job or a career that's going to give you the longevity that you want.
Let me talk about this because, guys, people like compensation. And one of the things that you deal with is you actually have, monetary amounts. And people are looking for, a lot of black men are looking to increase their income and stuff like that. So what are some of the salary ranges that, if people are in the information IT world and things like that, what are some of the opportunities that they can earn? And then what are some of the opportunities that people can work? I know now certain companies are remotely. I know there's some boot camps available around the world. Guys can do that. What are some of the opportunities for people to earn, to gain training, do those boot camps and things like that? What are some of the opportunities financially for people who want to get into IT right now?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity. Now, here's the thing, O'Shea. At the end of the day, I look at things because I look at it this way. I look at it this way of how much money can you make? And when I personally coach people, one of the first things I ask is what sort of a lifestyle that you want, what sort of a lifestyle that you envision. If you are a father and you have kids and you're just wanting to get into IT, how much money do you see yourself needing? And then go down a path that's going to allow for you to get to that goal so that you can have the lifestyle that you want. But there's many opportunities out there from boot camps. There's many opportunities out there from, doing workshops and doing private workshops. There's people that offer those online and with courses and coding and things like that. There's certifications that exist out there. There's a lot of resources where it will get you in the door. But once you get into the door, you're going to have to use those soft skills to climb the ladder to make the salary that you really want. And here's the thing too, O'Shea, when it comes down to the type of jobs, just about every single IT job is flexible. I would say you can work remote. You can work from just about any in any place in the country. You can work just about any place in the world. We've seen this. We've seen this with COVID now. At one point in time, they say you couldn't work remote, but we've seen with just about every single role in IT that you can work remotely. And I think that gives a lot of people a lot of opportunity as well, too, because they can have a salary of $40,000, but they could be living in some place like Nicaragua, right? Same time zone, but $40,000 in Nicaragua is a better life than $40,000 here in the United States. And when you get into these IT jobs, you're going to see, depending on how you map your career, there's going to be salaries that's tied to that map. And if you enter the workforce at a help desk level, making $40,000 a year, you can, become a software engineer like I did, start making $50,000 a year. Well, what's the next step? You can make $60,000 a year. And before you know it, you can continue to climb. Once you get to that manager level, you're making $140,000, $160,000 a year. So there's huge opportunities to make a lot of money, O'Shea, while also at the same time having the flexible living arrangements and having a flexible work life.
Okay, so the next thing we're talking about now is that there's the money is there, but then the quality of life can improve, right? And that's one thing I like about even being a YouTube content creator. Although I work crazy, the quality of life is there. I have the skills, so wherever I go, I'm connected on the internet, and I can work in Uganda. I can do it here in Poland. I can do it in America. And yeah, man, I've just I see what you do as far as the specialization of content. And, I always give props to the professional guys, the lead attorney. I talked about him, Pocket Watch with JT. I've known you longer than them, but what you do is so specialized. And it's more broad because the industry is so big. And a lot of African-American men would do well and I always talk about your channel. Check out Black Heights, guys. First comment pinned to the top. I know this is stupid of me to ask you this, so forgive me for my ignorance, but tell people why they should subscribe to the Black Heights YouTube channel.
Yes, absolutely. You should subscribe to the Black Heights YouTube channel because you're going to get exposure to somebody who's had success in life and that you can replicate. At the end of the day, I'm bringing the content that's going to give you information on what you can be in life, also the paths that you can take in life for you to be successful. It's just as simple as that, right? I want for other people to continue to ascend up the ladder to be successful in life, and I'm providing you different ways that you can do it in IT, different ways that you can do it by financially investing, different ways that you can do it by just being a good person and leveraging soft skills.
So, brothers, you heard it. I really want to thank Brother Antoine Wade, not just for supporting us, but just being over here in this community, even when we were not that big, just helping the professional sector of the African-American male community grow, because we didn't have that in this market before, but we're starting to see that grow and develop. And I know guys like Kevin Samuels, thanks you. You've been here for a while, and you've been always, you and Brother Gabe, people like that. Brothers that are, been over here, Dr. Kenyon Meadows, the oncologist, people like you are showing our people that, hey, this guy comes from our community. If he can do it, why not me? My grandmother used to always tell me, she said, son, you know what? If someone else can do it, why can't you? And the thing about it is that when I see a brother like yourself, a younger Black man, that achieves it from, the inner city, it really is something, because our men have to see brothers achieving, right, and doing great things. And I love that about you. I love that you have created this resource to help our Black men to achieve. And guys, we want to tell you that there are brothers like Antoine Wade, there are brothers out there like Dr. Kenyon Meadows that are out, that are achieving, doing great things. And then you can do it. And we want to provide these resources for our men in our community to help them achieve. Any last things you got to say, Brother Antoine Wade, about anything else in general, anything about your channel?
Yeah, I would just say this, O'Shea. I want to thank you for all that you do and all that you continue to do, and the leadership that you provide for the community. I would also say this is we need to continue to look at gentlemen that we want to be like, right? And I'm offering that in a way of going through the corporate America and leveraging the money that you can make from working in corporate America in a high earning salary, and to be able to branch out and do other things within your life with that amount of money. You see that I have the YouTube platform and things like that. But I would say this, I didn't become a millionaire by just falling into it. I had an uncle who, I grew up with that was a real estate millionaire. And believe it or not, I didn't follow a lot of the stuff that he did in life at the time when I was younger, living with him and all that stuff. But that was always in the back of my mind, that you can become a millionaire by, obviously buying real estate assets. And that's how I was able to do it. And it was in my mind subconsciously, because that was the person that I had as a male figure in my life. And quite naturally, when you're around somebody who's doing positive things like that, you're going to become just like that person in some ways or not. And I look back at him like, man, as much as I thought that I wasn't like my uncle, and more that I see myself growing up, I'm just like him. And having that positive role model, that positive influence in life is what did it for me, man.
Right. And that's what we want to offer, especially even with my platform, to show, African American men, regardless of your age, is that, people are out here. We're trying to build that resource for our guys, so that you don't have many excuses, right, to do what you need to do. So everybody has to help somebody. And I thank you, Brother Wade, for coming on, and Brother Antoine. And guys, check them out. The first comment at the top. And as you know, the buffoonery remains an all-time high. We're out.